Welcome back to the Music Industry Podcast, hosted by Burstimo. We're here with Marwen and Claudia from Maison Riche, who have just told us they are celebrating a new, and you've brought Prosecco, which is obviously a tradition of what. So you've just signed a new artist to a record label, is that right?
We just signed Isaac Frank to Universal, as in today.
Nice.
Yes.
He's like all over your Instagram, isn't he? The guy that's big on TikTok.
Massive on TikTok, yeah.
Was it a similar story? Because we had you on for the last 2 podcasts about May Stevens.
Mm-hmm.
It was one of those situations where it was like TikTok blew up, then got signed. Was it a similar situation?
Similar situation, yeah.
What was the story behind it? Were you just like running around London with meetings and trying to make it happen, or was it quite an easy one?
It was quite an easy one. He's very, very talented, like Brighton kids. Like we start working together last year in October, like incredible songwriters, and, help him out. And then he already built a TikTok as a like influencer. He already had some buzz around him. And we just say to him, look, your music is amazing. Just stick it on social and see how it goes. And
he's downplaying the story.
Yeah, you make it sound like you're like...
You've gone into podcast mode compared to being 3 drinks deep at the bar when we saw you half an hour ago.
Yeah, literally half an hour ago. Yeah, I was in Miami. There was tits everywhere. And now you're like, yeah, so professional.
Trust me, this story is so cool. How she met.
Oh, I open the champagne and you do it. Here we go.
Don't pretend it's champagne.
It's Prosecco.
Yeah, sorry guys, we're still in the music industry. We can't afford champagne. Here you go. No, the story how she met Isaac is, I think, unbelievable. I love the butterfly effect, especially when you can see it, and this is a true butterfly effect. How this all went, you can't make this up. You can't predict this.
All right, you've hyped up then.
So, do I tell it?
Yes.
All right. So, how I met Claudia, let me start at the start of the butterfly effect. I was working at a record company about 10 years ago as an A&R, and the owner of that record company was also the owner of a publishing company, and that publishing company bought Phrase differently at the time. They're now not with that company anymore. I don't know the ins and outs of that deal, but she worked for Phrase differently. At some point, I organized a writing camp in Santorini, and I had someone working for me, and I fired that person in Santorini.
What did they do?
Oh, believe me. She was responsible for organizing the whole writing camp, and she came to Santorini, and she laid down on the stretcher by the pool, opened her book, and I was like, hey, what are you doing? And she was like, yeah, I'm going to read my book. I was like, aren't you supposed to get the people out for lunch? Lunch is served in 15 minutes. She was like, oh, right. Okay. I was like, Then
booked her a flight home.
Then this is the
it
music.
Gets worse.
This is the
I was
music.
that's a little bit hard.
Yeah, no. It gets worse.
This is the music industry, right? So we work with artists and creatives, and you need someone to make sure that they are safe and do their things, within like management is a bit like sometimes looking after kids.
Yeah, you're babysitting.
Yeah, sometimes, because creative people get creative ideas. Like, I don't know, like they're like, maybe we should get a jet ski and put it in our pool or something, or maybe that's me. But so the reason what happened was not only the book, but she was there to basically look after everyone. And let me tell you, she was the only one that broke her arm that week because she was running at the pool and all of this.
One rule. There's just one rule.
And then that was the breaking point. She didn't get fired, of course, for breaking her arm. It was very unfortunate. No one would get fired for breaking their arm. But it was sort of the building point where I was like, if anyone had to break their arm, it wasn't you. Especially not for running around the pool that everyone knows you shouldn't do. So anyway, on top of this list of other things that went wrong, I was sitting down at like 3 a.m. with the whole roster. Everyone was there and they were all like, yeah, we need someone. Otherwise, we're all leaving. So I was like, I see my company crumbling here. You know, I just spent an expensive amount of money on this Santorini riding camp. Anyway, I was like, well, who do you want? You know, I said, rather than me having to do it, who would you want? And one of the first names that popped up was Claudia. And we all said, and everyone was like,
Nah, she's shit.
No.
Shit.
She's too good. She ain't gonna leave. I'm sure she's getting taken care of, you know? And I was like, if you don't shoot your shot, you always miss. Hey, Claudia, are you looking for a job?
On Instagram at 3 a.m.
On 4 a.m. And then the next day I woke up. Yeah, I am actually. I was like, what is this about? Oh. Okay, so then that happened.
Bear in
Claudia?
mind,
Yeah.
I met him twice before and you had hair at the time. And you
You
were...
don't have to rub it in. But
You're the reason these men are losing their hair because he had hair when you first met him.
Yeah, there's only 2 people in this room that's worked with you.
Remind
let
me
the
to
only
never
person-
work with you.
That's her.
yeah, and we started working, and yeah, within 2 months, I would say we already, the whole roster, everyone started vibrating and everything. And then I think it was, 7 months or something like that. I went to Claudia and was like, yeah, I want to make you my business partner. You're doing a fantastic job. And I think it's only fair if you are part of this story. And that was 2 years ago.
3 years ago.
Yeah,
2 years? Yeah.
2 or 3 years ago now. And yeah, she worked for a company for 8 years or 9 years and couldn't get a mortgage. Then became owner of the company as well. Could get a mortgage. And then you moved to Brighton.
Yes.
And then please tell us what happened, because from
So,
there on, it's
yeah, basically moved to Brighton, and on that day I had too much pasta because I make a massive portion of pasta. This is gonna make sense in a bit. And when I have too much food, I go for a walk by the beach. So it just doesn't make sense, but it will in a bit, I promise you.
Okay.
So walk by the beach, and then in Brighton you have this venue where you have a lot of singers coming and do like gigs. And I was with my husband walking, and like kudos to him as well. We heard this voice like from far away, and I said to him, there is no way on earth this is someone singing live. This is playback. And Alex, my husband, was like, no, I think it's someone playing live. And I said to him, babe, I'm in music industry for like 16 years. I know when someone is playing live or not.
You
so
we write it.
yeah, exactly. So we had this bet kind of situation. So we went to see, and I saw May Hill, who's one of the artists we manage now, singing live. And I just literally dropped everything, sat down on the bar, forced my husband to sit down with me. And I was like, I need to speak to this girl. She's incredible. Like, I need to work with her. She finished her set, and I ran to her, probably looked like a nutcase, vomiting words like, I'm working music and you're amazing and I want to work with you. She probably thought I was crazy, and which she did. She told me after, like, I thought you were nuts. But connected with her.
I remember you sending me a video that night.
Yes.
And I was like, go into that bar right now and sign.
Yeah. And then, we met like a couple of days after and start working with her. And she said to me, by the way, my flatmate is also in music. And I was thinking, like, okay, that's bizarre, but, let's hear everything. And then I met Isaac and heard his music. And I was thinking, oh my God, like, this is just incredible. 2 amazing people. They are flatmates. They live together. Please, can I manage both of you? And then, we started to work together, and the rest is history, basically.
The chances of something like that happening to you is pretty slim. There's over 120,000 tracks uploaded to Spotify daily. So the chances of someone like Claudia, like Marwen, coming across your music, well, it's close to impossible. It's all about luck. It's about who you know, how much money you have. But what if I told you that wasn't the case? What if I told you that for the price of a cup of coffee, you could get access to these people, their knowledge, their insights, their databases of contacts, their opportunities? That's exactly what the music industry portal is. It makes sure you're connected with the industry. You're not an outsider looking in, because that's the difference between a successful artist and a failing artist. The best thing is, it's the price of a cup of coffee. So instead of going to Starbucks this week, invest in your music career. I'll leave a link in the description.
Nice.
So now they have a song coming out together, who got signed to a major label. And yeah.
That's not before Maison Riche, though, is it?
No, that was
recently.
That was
That's recently,
that's this year. Like last year, we start working together.
Nice.
Yeah.
Which bank approved your mortgage? We've got to
No.
do a shout out to them.
Shout out
Is this
to.
part of the deal?
It is.
I don't even know.
Guys, quickly, we're moving to the sponsor of this video.
Are you allowed to talk about the signing?
What can you tell us?
Go on, tell us then.
What do you want to
Is
know?
it like
Well,
one track deal,
deals,
multiple track
percentages,
deal?
The label.
So
Who's
the label
involved? Why
is
that label?
Capitol, Universal. They're a great team. We have the same team that did Mae Stevens. We know the guys. They did a great job with her. We met everyone, as per usual. You meet everyone, do the round. And yes, we worked with them before. They did an incredible job before. So we were like, no brainer here. Let's go with the same team. And, Isaac really loved them as well, because obviously that's what's the most important, right? Like, it's not about me. It's not about Marwen. It's about who you gel with. So yeah, that just made sense. And yeah, he signed for 7 singles with them so far. And
last time we spoke, I think you said like you never want to sign one track deals, or you try to avoid them as much as you can, because they're quite, they just get a viral hit and then they move on. Still stand by that?
Depends with who. Depends with who. Marwen?
I think it very much depends on the situation that you're in.
Okay.
I would say if you have a viral hit, it wouldn't make sense to do a one-off. But if you're a starting out artist, do a one-off. Test them out. See if it's the right fit for you.
For the money? For the contacts? For what?
No, one-off deals are not for the money.
No?
Usually, no. They're more, when you're a starting artist, it's more about finding your team.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say all the major labels pretty much, for example, do pretty much the same job. They're all equally as powerful. They have about the same bank balance. Yeah, sure, one has more market share, but they are all very similar in the way they run their operations, run their business model, their calculations on advances. It's all pretty much within the same, whether it's Sony, Universal, Warner, or whoever, it's all within the same. With independence, it's a bit different. But one-off deals you don't do for the money. If you want money, long-term deals is where it's at. But one-off deals when you're starting artist is definitely recommended, because then you're not tied in. Then you're not, you don't have the vulnerability of dropping the first single, it not going as you wanted to. Same for the label. They might go like, it isn't how we expected it. And especially you have to remember, Sony, Universal, Warner are all public companies. They are there to please the shareholder. So they're profit driven. So as soon as they don't see profit in you, you're on the side. Whereas an independent, they usually have much more of we invested money in this, we need to make it back.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas a major is like, we spent a lot of money on this, write off as a loss.
Mm-hmm.
Next.
So with the meetings, with say Isaac, for example, are you literally spending a day just telling the same story?
Yes.
That's so boring.
It's for the artist. It's
Yeah,
draining
he must just
because
be so bored by the end of the day.
Yeah, he has the same questions. They all ask him where you're from, what's the aspiration, la di la di la.
Yeah.
But It has to be done, and I think for them, especially as artists, they see how people react to the same thing because it's a good standard, right? If you ask the same thing, tell the same story, but you get different reaction, it's a good, way to see like who is actually genuine, not genuine, interested, like who actually gives a fuck, whatnot.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is draining. We did 2 days of back-to-back meetings, seeing everyone, but that's that's what you do, and that's what you like have to do in those situations. It's kind of like, I don't know, dating. Like you see, like when you go on Tinder, you like find like the same question. What do you do? Like, where are you from? All of this shit. But then you find a partner that fits, and then you end up marrying them. It's true, but it is draining, but at least it gives you.
Find me.
Please, Marwen is single, by the way. If any
Is
ladies
this why you
are out
wanted
there.
to come on? You thought this would get you a date?
Hello, everyone. On to the next advertisement.
Wait till you see our statistics on the gender split.
Oh yeah, you better hope you're
It's
into
like
that.
yeah, I hope you like a lot of blow.
He's open to everything.
Yeah, good.
Well, now you've ruined all the chances, haven't you?
Well, I would have a piece of advice there. What we always do,
I thought we were still talking about dating.
No,
not for your Tinder. She might be better. She got married. I'm hopeless. But if you ever do get into those label meetings, there is some questions you can ask to see if they're genuinely interested in you or not. And a couple of questions, I'm always a bit hesitant with advice in the music industry because there's no one way to Rome, but there is a way to see if someone is genuinely interested in you. And one simple question, it might surprise you, is when you send your songs, just ask in the meeting, what was your favorite song? You'd be surprised.
Because some faces just look panicked.
Yep.
Yeah.
They feel like they're on the spot because they haven't listened.
Yeah.
The first one is
Yeah, the
So
first
keep
track
the
on
second
repeat
one,
in the Dropbox. wasn't
Because
it?
they have to mention a title.
Yeah.
And if they actually listened and they're actually a fan of one of the songs that you sent, they will mention which song.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's one question. One that makes it so blatantly obvious. If you're a new artist, if the A&R is actually, and I say this because I was an A&R.
So
still
what's
am,
your history then? So you guys obviously met because you did the writing camp. So what were you manager then? When you were doing the writing camp, or what were you doing then?
I was a manager then. I'm still a manager. I'm still an A&R. So I was working for a record company. When I was 18, I started. I blabbed myself into the company. I said, yeah, I know where to find good tunes. And then I was like, shit, I got hired. Where do I find good tunes that are not signed? Okay. Then I worked at a company for about 2.5 years. I made them a lot of money. And then I left because I didn't make a lot of money. It's not about the money, but I made so little money, I couldn't even leave my parents' house, right? So I was earning millions for this company and I couldn't even live on my own. So I left. Then I got called by Max Lusada. I got this call from the UK. I saw this UK number. I was like, hello? Yeah, who's this? Yeah, Max. Oh, no idea. Yeah, Max was like, yeah, I heard you're a free agent and maybe you want to fly to London next week and maybe talk about working for us. I was like, sure, but who's us? Warner Music. I was like, yeah, down. I had no job.
Yeah.
I needed money. I sold everything in my house. And I was like, you know what? I've got nothing, Which hotel do you want? I sent them the most expensive hotel in London. Everything. Flew business to London. It's an hour flight for me. No point in business. I was the only one in the whole business section. I was just like, let me see how, as like a football player, you know, like you hear these stories of football players. They're like, a club is interested in them. They sort of test how much or what can I get away with. Anyway, they flew me out. I'm there. We think you're a good fit for Atlantic. I'm like, yeah, whatever. Sure. I was just like, wherever I go, I will do my thing. So whether they said whatever label within Warner, fuck it, I'm doing it. Also, I need to pay rent. So they were like, how much do you want? I sent an email. I was talking to everyone. Oh, what do you think? But I said an amount of money, which in my world was ridiculous. Ridiculous. I was like, they're gonna say no. Whatever. Mom, do you think it's right? My mom was like, I think you're asking too much. My dad was like, ask more. Anyway, I put it on the email. I said what I wanted, and they instantly agreed.
Oh,
but
you
like,
were gutted.
I was like, no. They didn't even downplay me. Shit. So then I was at Atlantic 2 years, was no success, wasn't allowed to sign anything. I think I missed out on maybe 20 Grammys. I was there 2 years. I did... How many signings do you think I did?
10.
4.
0.
What did you do
Zero.
for 2 years? You just like took meetings?
0. I wish I took meetings. I had... You know, fuck it. I'm gonna oust them. I had Louis Capaldi Bruce's in my mail. I was very interested in that song. And as all of you probably know, that song wasn't signed in the UK. It was signed in Germany. But I wanted it. I wanted it desperately. I went to my boss. I was like, I want this to be my first signing. I know. And I get it. I came from an independent. And now I was in a major. They are more selective. I get it. You know, at an independent, you try out more things. You know, you build more artists, etc. But they were like, yeah, we don't do that. Okay. I was like, why not? They were just like, we jump in when... I get it. It's like football, you know, like if you're FC Barcelona. But I still disagree, because I think if you are Atlantic, one of your strongest points could be artist development, or if you are any of those majors. If you have the money to back it, I think you have an advantage to build artists. But it was getting used to, but then I was like, I want to sign this. And they were like, no, but I'm not going to oust the reason. But it was a ridiculous reason. The reason was so stupid. And then I was there for 2 years, no signings. It's like being a football player, basically how I see it. I was working for a big club in Amsterdam. And then I made my transfer as a football player to the Premier League. But I did it too early and I got benched.
Mm-hmm.
And for 2 years I was on the bench, and then I was like, this is shit. You know, I'm not playing. I'm losing my whole reputation as an A&R. I'm losing. So I was building my company on the side during that, and that's when, well, we saw Dom today. That was our first client, and he's still with us now after 9 years.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's sort of that's my background in rough outlines.
Do you get the impression like the smaller record labels and management are starting to kind of take over and have a bit more power now? Because in our world, I'd say we're getting less and less major label contracts, but we're getting big artists still, but they're like signed from like for example, you guys introduced us to Altego and Gio from Fast Boy, and that's what we're finding anyway, that it's more.
Yeah, but we're not even working with the label
in
terms of like, the label aren't really involved in any of the marketing. They do like the radio stuff, taking it to DJs, but then they'll just give them the budget and be like, sort that out. And that's so different to how it used to be. But I think that's great.
It is, and it's starting to make
just like acting as a bank and just giving it to them, and they do like some stuff, but then they get to just do stuff themselves.
I'm hoping artists are getting wise to the fact that more money doesn't equal success, and you can actually Basically, you don't need those resources anymore. You can do it yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, absolutely. The majors are struggling right now.
The thing is, though, they're still making record profits on those. Like when I look at music news, they're still posting record profits. So it confuses me so
Back
much.
Catalogs.
Catalog.
And where do they make the money from them, though?
Catalog. So, for example,
Who's paying for them?
Well, look at like the ABBA Voyage and stuff. Like that will be making. Well, I mean, that's a private company that made that and built it. I actually spoke to those guys. They wanted to market it because I think it's on their website. If not, sneak preview. They're doing it with loads of different bands like Queen and stuff. And like that whole. Imagine how much money the labels that own that back catalogue are making. It's just huge.
let's take a great example. Michael Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember when this deal happened, but Sony bought the masters of Michael Jackson for $1 billion.
Yeah, well, how are they going to make that back then?
Because Michael Jackson is still on all the radio stations, is still being streamed an awful lot, is still being synced to commercials, video games, whatnot. You know, that's still happening. And that is where a lot of the majors still get their money from. Let's say, to put it in an example, let's say you have a catalog that generates 100 million a year. Doesn't matter if you spend 20 million a year. It doesn't matter if you spend 20 million a year and lose all of it. You can do that. And all the majors work with a signing budget. Every year, I believe it's around October or November, every department, let's say Warner, Parlophone, Atlantic, Warner Music, whatever, they all get their budget assigned that they get for a whole year. And they all spend it. Because if you don't spend it, they say, oh, you didn't spend it, you need less this year. Right? So they all spend it to the max. But sometimes they spend it too early. Right? They find an artist in February, they spend the whole signing budget, and it's tough to do other signings the whole year through. That's how they work. They use their back catalog as an investment to get new catalog. That's the business model. But all these majors have such a ridiculous catalog. That is what keeps them
afloat. Yeah, because didn't Justin Bieber's back catalog just get bought? Like something like that. And he sold it for something. It was insanely cheap for how much he sold it for. That's going to make people the money for years to come.
Yeah.
But isn't it strange that, like, as an artist, you get, obviously they're giving you money, but you get pulled in by that when there aren't as many, like, success stories. Like, for example, look at, like, what you guys have done with these artists. There aren't many examples of labels picking up an artist and helping them get to that point because their success stories are more the back catalogs.
Too risky.
Yeah, but isn't that strange that we like the signings are still so attractive?
Yeah.
If you have the money, would you rather jump in at the start or be now it's a safe bet, now I'm going to put my money on, and now
it's not worth
the
risking,
chance that I lose my money is maybe 30% rather than 80%. And I don't have to do so much work because it's already there.
Done.
Yeah.
That's how the majors go. They have the money and they know there's not a lot of competition. Who is the competition of Warner Music?
Yeah.
Sony, Universal, BMG. That's it. Who else? Who has the money to put it up? To sign an artist, you know? Let's say who in this music industry has €1 million to sign one artist? It's only the majors.
Yeah.
And some independents have it, but they would go on a stretch. They would really be like, okay, you know, like the race horse, the horse racing thing, you know, if you put your money on the horse, it's almost like that. The majors are like, we're going to put it on the one with the best odds. Whereas an independent, you almost have to go like, yeah, I'm going for that one. The 101 chance because I can't compete with the rest.
I mean, we're talking about it like it's really negative. You guys sign artists to labels all the time because they help you. They still get the results at a certain point in their career, right?
Yeah, it's not a negative thing. I would say it's about understanding what the game is.
Yeah. I mean, you guys have lawyers. You have like a lawyer that you work with really closely. how important are you finding that, like, really looking through those contracts?
Oh yeah, you need to look at every single wordings, every single sentence. Yes, yeah.
Caught anything in recent contracts?
There's always things in contract, like you discuss terms and you have the rough idea, and then like, you know, on the long form you find sentences there and there where it's like, oh, actually, where is this in there? You know, we haven't discussed this, and that's why you have a good lawyer, because you know, like, that's their jobs. They know what they're doing. They know what every single words mean. That's the way you protect yourself as an artist, because like we discussed, you can be stuck in a deal forever if you don't have the right lawyer. Like, it's super important to have someone who actually understand what's going on in the paper.
Second piece of advice: get a lawyer before you get a manager, publisher, record label, whatever. First person you should get in the music industry as an artist is a lawyer. Yeah.
And you mentioned some of those deals. You mentioned earlier before the podcast that some of those deals, you got to make sure that you have spending. What was the term? Spending control?
Approval
rights.
Yeah.
Approval rights on spending.
Yeah.
Otherwise, things get spent and put in your name.
Yeah, you
have to pay off.
We had a story about someone like who went for his signing dinner. So the label signed them and said like, okay, we take you to the restaurant, everyone to celebrate, and spend, I don't know, like $5,000 on a like nice dinner with champagne and lobster for the whole team. And then they looked at their statement, their like record statement, and the like signing dinner was on the statement as like a recoupable to them.
Insane.
That's
they can put what they want. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So you guys travel. I look at your Instagram, and you guys travel a lot.
You're all over the place.
Well, I mean,
She more than me.
Yeah, why does she get the holidays? What's that
He has a kid.
She deserves
there
it.
we go.
Yeah.
I'm like, he has a kid. She deserves it.
What's all the traveling then? For what reasons do you usually go away?
Like work, like usually it's for work. So it can be from, for example, we went to Miami, Music Week. It was for, you know, solidifying relationship that we have, meeting people that we actually work with in the flesh, building new relationships as well. Just like networking in general and making deals happen on trips as well. It can be, for example, next week I'm going to Berlin for a shoot for one of our artists for promo.
So what's that happening in Berlin and not the UK?
Well, this one, they are like, they signed to a German label, they signed to Warner Germany. So we're going over there to meet the team, catch up and do
German
everything.
artist?
UK artist.
So
Signed in Germany.
why? Bit like the Lewis Capaldi thing.
Yes.
James Arthur was also signed in Germany.
Germany just like happier to take risks.
So the top music markets in the world are the UK, Japan, America, Germany, France. The UK A&R is very different from the German A&R. I always say, if you want to play a fun drinking game, email every UK A&R you know, and for every email that says, I'm not working here anymore, you take a shot. You'd probably be drunk within 4 emails.
Really?
Yeah. So, whereas with German, it's a bit different. The how do I say it? The competitiveness is still there, but they are like within the lifespan of a UK A&R is about 2 years. If you don't get a massive thing in 2 years, you're out, basically. Whereas in Germany, it's a bit different. It's a bit more nuanced. Like, you see people much more on the same positions for a long time. Whereas in the UK, you see the A&R shift like musical chairs, you know, like no joke. Yeah.
And you find these trips quite useful, like the networking events and things? Is that which events are you going to in
October? We have ADE, which we do like every year. Well, he lives in Amsterdam, so that's very handy. But you get the whole music industry like in the world coming over, so you get to meet like the Americans, German, French, English, like everyone that you don't necessarily meet like all the time because we're so far away from each other. And you can like, you know, like build new relationships, have a new opportunity. You can also, like, for example, if you sign a new artist, like spread the words as well to everyone out there. Like we often play record to people like hey, listen to this, like in people's faces.
But they love that.
Yeah.
That's such a music industry thing to do, though. Isn't
Well,
it?
like, I'm going to play it and stare at you
Yeah.
and wait for your
You
reaction.
have to, don't you?
Oh, the worst one is when I've had this before, when they start handing you their AirPods and they're like, listen to this, and I'm like,
Gonna get an ear infection.
Yeah.
no thanks.
Yeah.
Play it on the speaker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like we haven't addressed what we've got, like a fluffy ball.
Oh yeah, so we
Mm.
bought some goodies.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want to show the new goodies, the other goodies?
So
Okay.
let's play a little music industry game,
Okay.
Okay.
guys. All right.
What bit involves chocolate?
So I've got a little music industry game here. It's
Okay.
called gambling, and I'm gonna
Sounds
teach you
great.
guys about A&R. So right here, I've got 4 scratch cards. So
Do we just take a pick of which one we want?
no, hold on, left or right?
Left.
Oh,
These are for me.
you took mine.
Pick a number, 1 to 4.
3. He's ripping off.
Here you go.
Okay.
1 to 3.
2. Thank you.
Which number?
I'll
1 to
take
2.
1.
Okay, so we have scratch cards in our hands now.
Mhm.
So
Oh yeah, people might be listening to this rather than
Yeah.
seeing it. We're holding scratch
We're
cards.
holding scratch cards.
we're
called
holding
quizzing.
scratch cards,
Mhm.
and basically everyone went on their feeling, right?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't suggest anything. I was just like, which one do you want to go for?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's A&R in a nutshell. It is feeling. You don't know what is going to work. It is a gamble.
Mhm.
But it would be really funny if I win right now, right? I didn't have any choice.
I feel like this is going to be a magic trick.
Mhm.
I didn't. No, I wish. How much? Top price of £5,000. If I
Right.
win £5,000 right now,
Let's see if
Let's
anyone
see.
wins.
all right, hold on.
So what do we do? We scratch all of it.
Yeah.
Okay. There we go. Here goes nothing. All right. So
In a game,
Maddie
if the
used to buy
coins
scratch
add up,
cards all
to
the
over
time.
I
one-
did.
love
This
them.
might bring me back and make me want to get them again.
It was
No, it was
kinda
when I
weird.
hated my life.
Yeah.
It was my first job in the music industry.
what was your job in? Like, I didn't ever ask you actually.
It
So
was in
the
PR,
coins-
traditional PR, like
Yeah.
pitching for blogs and magazine
Mm.
coverage and all that sort of stuff.
I lost.
I won £1, and then on this one,
Ah, I didn't win. That sucks.
2020,
Well, now you can write off the advance.
I won £1, which is great.
Reinvested.
Because
There you go.
that game cost £1, so we
Yeah.
didn't lose anything.
I didn't
So-
get anything.
This is a bit music industry in a nutshell. The way it is you can believe in the card you got because you all made your own decision based on your feeling. You all thought the card you picked was going to win. I all gave you a choice. You could have said 2. You didn't. You could have said 4. You didn't.
Mm,
Doesn't matter. That's what A&R is too. You go on the feeling. You listen to it. You love it, but you might be wrong. I've had many tracks where I was like, this is it. Nope.
Yeah.
You know? So it is a bit of a gamble,
mm.
but there's good gamblers and there's bad gamblers.
I'm a good one, guys. Sign
Yeah.
with me.
Yeah, you won.
But I do think it's a bit of fun because maybe you made the decision for left or right.
Hmm.
I still have these 4. I'm going to scratch them tonight and let you guys
Yeah,
know.
do let us
Yeah,
right.
So, yeah, that is, it is a bit of a fun goodie, but I always say it to people, music is a bit like a scratch card. Every song you make is a scratch card. You don't know what's going to happen.
Mm.
There's a lot of examples of people making a song and going like, this is the worst fucking song I made in my whole life, and it becoming a massive hit. Plenty of examples.
Yeah, we get it all the time.
Yeah.
Mm.
Naked Sexual is one of them. Do you guys remember that song? I'm feeling sexual, and you
Mm-mm.
should be sexual.
No.
No.
But you just pointed
was
at
a
him and went
hit.
naked
Yeah.
sexual.
Yeah,
What's
yes.
going on here?
I'm sensing the, you know,
bald vibes,
the
yeah.
bald sexual vibes right here. No, but there are so many examples of songs that were made where people were like, this sucks, and it becoming a hit. And there's a lot of examples. We don't see him, right? I always wonder. I love wondering about things, and one of the things I wonder about, how many songs a year get signed where someone goes, this is the one, and it doesn't happen.
Thousands,
right?
Yeah.
That's your scratch card.
That's
Yeah.
a good
Yeah.
game.
Yeah.
What else in your bag?
I always wonder why you bought this. Now I know there was
Yeah.
a meaning behind
Oh,
it.
it's Prosecco.
Oh, you,
What
did,
else
you
is
didn't
in the bag,
explain it
isn't
before.
No, he said to me, I bought scratch cards.
You
I was
bought
like,
scratch cards of
"Yay."
Prosecco and you were like, oh, it's going to be a rough night.
Listen, give me I'm going to return all of these.
Yeah.
Is there 14-day return policy
Yeah,
here?
you can't do that with
of
artists,
course,
though, can you?
Funny you say that, but there is some things that you could do as an artist to.
Go on then.
So this applies to Europe. I don't know where your audience is. If there's any American listeners, your laws are cooked. You are cooked. Everything in America is cooked, but especially your laws, because the American laws are about the most money wins, whereas the European laws is more about what is fair. And that system applies pretty much everywhere in Europe, including, although you guys are not Europe anymore, but one of the ways is that as an artist, you are in control of the creative decision in the end. You are. So if you don't stand behind it, even if the song is finished, you can always later down the line say, I don't stand behind it creatively anymore. It's your art. You are not forced to display your art if you don't think it's not who you are anymore. You know
In
what I
what
mean?
way
Hence the
should-
Taylor Swift thing.
For example.
Yeah.
Yeah. I see.
Yeah.
So she's stuck with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she just bought them back recently, didn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why the re-recording clause in your contract is also important, because she had a low re-recording clause. Like, I bet she had like a re-recording clause that was like 2 years, 3 years, which is quite, if you have a lawyer, they will negotiate it at that point, which means you can't re-record your own songs within 2 to 3 years. And after that you can, which is what she did as well.
So that allowed her to do the Taylor's version, I see.
Yeah, you're allowed to create a new master of your own song. But sometimes, if you don't check your contract, those re-recording, it's called a re-recording restriction in your contract. They sometimes put them up to 20 years. Sometimes it's perpetuity.
Yeah.
Depending on where the law is. That's why I say Americans are cooked.
Yeah.
Because in Europe, a lot of laws are getting adjusted now that perpetuity is not really a thing anymore. In America, who gives a shit? Perpetuity.
Do you sign US artists, or are you predominantly European?
Our whole roster is European.
Yeah, at the moment.
It's a bit difficult with time zone.
Yeah. We would love to work with Americans as well. But yeah, like signing to a American like deal, like it would be difficult.
Yeah, also you spend quite a lot of time with your artists. So that would be difficult.
Yeah. It's not impossible, and we're thinking about getting people over to the US as well to have someone in time zones over there and things like that. So it is doable, but I think because we are so hands-on, right? Like I literally goes to, like, we see our artists, we speak to them all the time. Like the guys I have in Brighton, I go to their house pretty much every week. We're very hands-on. It would be difficult. I think we need someone over there. Not impossible to do, but yeah, preferably have someone there.
And it's still just artists? Because I remember you did a lot of songwriter stuff.
Yeah, we have
representation.
songwriters, producers, artists.
Yeah, and still a main part of your business.
Yeah.
In terms of roster,
It's changed a bit
writers,
since last time I came. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But in terms of income, artists are like for us
Well, artists are bringing in more
Interesting.
than the songwriters.
Absolutely.
Because
Yeah.
before you were selling songs, and that was
Yeah.
big money for you.
But to be honest,
Yes,
a lot of our
still.
songwriters and producers have their own artist project as well now, because they've
See,
seen
yeah.
Yeah.
the benefit. Why would you give a good song to someone else when you can do it yourself and
Yeah.
get the
I know.
benefit?
Yeah.
from it?
Especially when you shelf, I think every writer, producer has on average. Look, I'm gonna say this. I worked at Atlantic, right? What I told before, and I remember speaking to some people who were looking after Ed Sheeran, and they were telling me that he has like 300 demos on his hard drive that are likely never gonna see the light of day.
Mm.
And that just shows how much music is out there that we're never gonna hear, right? And I'm like, yeah, why would you spend all... to me, it sounds like being a cleaner, cleaning a whole office, and then being like, I don't need the payment. Why are you spending all day, right, to make something and to not show it to the world? Unless, as an artist, you're like, yeah, I don't like this song, but to me, it sounds very inefficient to spend money, spend time, which time is more valuable than money. You can't buy time, but you spend like 8 hours in the studio making the record, whatever, just for someone at a label to say, I don't think we should release this. You wasted the whole day. Why shouldn't it come out? Does it matter if it's a hit? Right? Isn't art about showcasing? And maybe, 3 people like it. And what?
Or maybe 50 million people like it. You never know.
Exactly. You never know. Also, who says that A&R is right? We just done the scratch cards. We were all wrong.
I won. I'm good.
No, you are break even.
Yeah, break even.
You recouped your artist.
But the best thing is I didn't spend my money. So technically,
Hey, listen, I still got these. Huh?
I'm gonna be gutted if you win thousands. I feel like I've definitely lost that.
look, if we win the 5K, we take you out for dinner.
Now that's when
that sounds like a good deal.
That's what let's say a Sony feels like if they see Warner sign an artist, they want it, and so I think that is the thing, like there's so many songs on the shelf.
Yeah.
And that's why we tell all our writers, producers, why shelve them?
I often wonder if artists make too big of a deal of releasing a song. Like, for example, us as having a YouTube channel and a podcast and uploading to Reels. If this podcast gets 5 views, it doesn't matter. It's just life. And you move on to the next one, and then another one will take off, and then nobody even saw the one that didn't get. They got the 5 views, etc.
Music's another form of content in a way.
Mentality,
people just get nervous to. I think it's because there's so much emotion put into it, and they think that, especially because they work so long on one song, by the time that they're like finished with it, they're like, oh, old, don't really like it anymore.
Yes.
Whereas for everyone else, it's brand new.
Yeah, that too. That too.
Yeah.
But we even have that from working in marketing. Like by the time they're bringing it to us, could be like a year and a half since they even wrote it. They're over it, and we're like, okay, what's the narrative behind this? Let's like really think about how we're going to push this out. And they're like, all right, so like they're over it. So yeah, I do get it. It's just for everyone else, it's a brand new track, isn't it?
Yeah.
But let's say you walk around a museum. Have you guys been to Amsterdam?
Yep, long time
No,
ago.
I haven't been to Amsterdam.
You have?
I come to see you all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, but, oh yeah. Have you been to the Van Gogh?
No. Yes.
Have you been to the Van Gogh?
No.
Well, let's say you go to the Van Gogh Museum, which is a museum centered around one artist. Are you gonna like every painting?
No.
So, as an artist, does it matter if everyone likes your painting as much as the previous one or the next one or whatnot? That's the industry that we're in, is that there's a lot of opinions. But who cares about the opinions? We don't know who's right. Again, the scratch card. You can have a feeling about your scratch card. Doesn't mean you're right. I've been involved in tracks where no one believed in it, and it became 1 billion streams. So that's what I would say to any artist. Don't overthink your art.
At what point do you know that a track's going to pop off? Like when When's that key signal? Is it Spotify picking up editorials, or is it going viral on TikTok? Like, when can you say, yeah, we've got something?
Nowadays, creations on TikTok.
Yeah, social media.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What, people
Other
using it
people
as a
use
sound?
it.
Other people
Yeah.
using your song. Yeah.
Yeah.
We've been
Yeah.
playing with AI a lot on that.
Yeah.
It's like we've been making AI accounts. I mean, Maddie spent the entire 1.5 hour
I got
journey
repetitive
here.
strain from literally like swiping.
Yeah, from these
Just watching like Bigfoot
bears.
doing a vlog.
Yeah, Bigfoot's got a vlog now, and yeah, she's obsessed with it. But now we're like, well,
Yeah, I think it's just going to be a new form of way of promoting. Just because if you look at content as a whole, everyone's done it. Like even the most outrageous content, you've got Mr. Beast, you've got a normal TikTokers doing it, like singing in every single location you possibly can. So now we've got this like slightly new trend where people are just getting, like I saw Mary, like as in Joseph and Mary, doing a vlog. Like you're gonna
I've
see
seen
new
those,
AI
yeah.
put
I
in,
love those,
where like
yeah.
that's a new way to promote music because people are getting so bored of content. Views are across the board down. So it's definitely getting to a point where it's so much harder. Like even when we were talking about Mae Stevens, this was what
2 years,
Yeah.
3 years ago.
when
yeah.
she did that video that blew up. I wonder if she did it now, how it would have performed because it's just such a competitive space. You've got to be so creative.
my point was going to be, how many scratch cards can you buy with this AI though? Like
Yeah,
instead of
yeah,
having one
true.
piece of content,
Yeah.
you can now buy 100. You can put 100 different things out,
Yeah.
AI based.
Yeah,
And
because it's
see
not a
if anything-
person, so
Yeah.
you can literally like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Have you guys heard of fruity music?
Fruity music.
Yeah.
I don't
No.
think so.
All right, this is cool. You guys haven't heard of it,
Yeah.
but recently this little independent company from Holland.
Was it Strange Fruits?
Exactly.
Yes.
Oh, it's
yes,
him. Yeah. Yeah, he did like the AI
Steve-
music, he made the
Steve
playlist.
Voigt
and-
is
yeah,
that-
yeah.
You know he sold it, right?
Yes, but who
No.
did he sell it to?
Do you know how much for?
Oh, it was obscene amount. I keeps coming off my Instagram because he's running ads
You
on
know
this
how
new
much
business
for?
he's
Tell
got.
me.
According to the news reports, it's
Yeah.
up to 100 mil
Oh,
to
God.
create music group, which just shows
Well, he sold that AI catalog for that or
No,
the playlist.
he sold the
It's
whole brand, the
instrumental.
whole
Oh, the
thing,
whole
the
business,
whole
okay.
ship was.
He
Jeez.
was the first to start
Yeah.
playlist ads, though,
Yeah.
with like
Yeah.
Simpsons stuff and things like that. We
Yeah.
took a lot of inspiration
Yeah.
from him
Yeah,
to start our ads as well,
Yeah.
because they worked.
yeah, absolutely. But
million.
it just shows again that it's someone in the music industry that if you ask anyone on the street, even within music industry, I'm sure if I walk into any of the major label offices and ask about fruity music, strange fruits, whatever, a lot of people wouldn't even know it.
Mm.
But it just sold for millions.
Yeah.
You know, it just shows as well. If you have a good idea,
Yeah.
and you believe in it,
We
go
were
for
talking
it.
about this on the journey here, though, like how a good idea isn't someone else's idea. As in, like, everyone is just trying to recreate what they've seen because it worked. The reason it's a good idea is because no one else has done it. Like,
Yeah.
he did that years ago. Well, now everyone's trying to do AI music. Like,
Yeah.
and it's just not working because you can tell it's AI music. And even like the playlist ads, we've grown ours now. We've got like 44 playlists with over 1 million followers. If we started today, we spent like 350 grand on them. I reckon it would cost us like 500,000 at least.
Yeah.
Because everything's just, everyone's trying to do it.
Yeah. But it's the same for everything. Like yesterday we had a content day with different influencers and they all had like the different, thing. Like one guy was like stopping people in the street to ask them question. One guy was, I'm going to give like inspirational quote and film the reaction to people.
Yeah.
Like they all that one idea that they constantly did and it worked out for them. And those guys are now like getting requests from major label brands. Like they're making boatloads of money. They all live in Covent Garden, which is central London.
Yeah.
Just by doing like one day of filming like 3-4 videos, just based on that one idea, like, you know what, I'm gonna buy a mic, stop people, ask them question, or give inspirational quote. Like it's everything like that now. They went for it and it worked out.
Yeah.
And I imagine a lot of people, if they would say, I have this idea, would have said, nah,
No, it's
mate."
stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't do it.
Which happens a lot in music as well.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I get it. You're creative. It's almost like you're cooking food, right? And then I put the plate for all of you. You might like it, you might hate it, you might in the middle. Doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
For my recipe, if I love it, that's what you should be as an artist.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if you love it. That's art. Van Gogh is a cool example because I mentioned
no one liked his paintings until he died.
He died as a broke person. He cut off his own ear out of depression and out of protest. He got famous after his death. That's the funny thing, right? Everyone said you're shit when he was doing it. Pretty much. And it's actually Van Gogh, guys, not Van Gogh.
Sorry. I'm getting waved at.
We're going to have to wrap it up. Is there anything else in the bag, or was that it? That was
plenty.
Plenty, but maybe we'll save it for another episode.
Follow our Instagram.
Yeah.
Not the Maison Riche ones, because we are quite bad at keeping it up, but our personal one.
Yeah. Okay, so which Instagrams do you want plugged then? If you want to keep up with these guys?
Go on mine, Twiggy Pop, and then Marwen is Marwen.
Marwen FTW for the win.
We'll link them down below. So thanks very much.
Someone said? Someone said, I thought it was fuck the world.
I don't think
FTW.
I don't think it's ever been fuck the world, has it?
Yeah,
no,
I just find
maybe
that
you're just
for
a
the win.
pessimist. Yeah. Thanks very much for watching or listening on Spotify. If you found it useful, drop it a like. If you got any questions, drop a comment, and we'll see you in the next episode.